Let me introduce our moderator, our wonderful moderator, Lisa Greer. She is an active philanthropist, investor, and entrepreneur who has worked in leadership roles with both major corporations and startup businesses. Lisa was the founder of Beverly Hills Egg Donation, an agency that continues to help people throughout the world become parents through the power of cutting-edge assisted reproductive technology. Previously, she founded and served as managing partner of Media Venture Advisors and oversaw the development of the online divisions of NBC Universal and Spencer Gifts, while also launching pioneering ventures into music webcasting. So this is our moderator, Lisa Greer, and I'll let her introduce the rest of the wonderful panel. Thank you.
My bio's that one's a little bit dated. I actually spend most of my time doing philanthropy relative to Israel right now, and a few other areas, so very involved in all of this, for those who don't know me. So, but my husband and I are serial entrepreneurs, and our business has always been, for the most part, making money and while doing something interesting. But all of the panelists today are about doing, hello, can you hear me? Okay. All the panelists today are about doing something that is making money, that's entrepreneurial, or facilitating businesses that do that, but also do good. Do something good for the world, good for Israel, good for a particular group of people, particular community, whatever that is. And for me, that's one of those holy grail kinds of things about, along with, like the last discussion, trying to get the left to listen to the right and vice versa. Probably, maybe it's difficult, maybe not, but how do you do good and actually make money? Or how do you do good and make as much money as you would make putting that money into something else? And people have been trying to do this for several years and are continuing to try to do that. And one of the things we want to do today is talk about, is that working? Is that still something that can happen? And even if you don't make money, can those organizations still be created? So in this country, you would think of TOMS, or you'd think of the Good Company, or Honest Company, or any of those who are giving money back. But I think when we talk, and you'll hear a little bit more from the different panelists, but when we talk about doing well by doing good, I think it's not just giving something back. I think it's actually solving a social issue. A social problem, and there's a whole bunch of those it just so happens to deal with. So all of the people on the panel today are working with numerous different ways of solving that. In fact, none of them are working with one particular, let's just create this company to do good, whether it's shoes or glasses or healthcare, whatever it is. They're all facilitating other people figuring out ways of doing that and helping people so that each of them, if each of these people on the panel, I think were successful, I think they would say their measure of success might be if I could get 5 companies up and running that are doing well by doing good, that would be a huge, huge benefit not only to those communities and to those companies, but to the state of Israel and to really to the world, as we've seen with the different companies that and Startup Nation that have really, I don't know, how many of you, in fact, I'll ask, how many of you used Waze to get here today? And how many of you used Uber? Nobody, actually. How many of you used the parking app that lets you park? Nobody? A few people. Okay. So, and I'm sure you all know that Waze was developed in Israel along with a lot of other things. And we could talk about cell phone components too, but we're not going to because I'm going to introduce them. They're each going to talk a little bit about their companies, why they're doing something that is so darn hard. Right? Anyone thinks it's easy? We can, okay. Yeah, we wish it was easy, and yet they continue to bang their heads against a wall, and they continue to do good, and they're just wonderful, wonderful people. So I'll start with Cecile, who I actually have known for several years. Cecile Blilious is the founder and manager of Impact First Investments, and she has been involved in finance for a very, very long time, involved in private equity funds, some that have worked, some that haven't worked, but trying to figure out how can you address global social challenges. And she has a portfolio through her company, which has investments from all sorts of organizations and people. She has a fascinating portfolio of companies where every single one actually will help change not just Israel, not just a particular community, but actually have a way of changing some major, major issue in the world. So with that, Cecile.
So first, before we start, I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me here. Thank you, because I think this is an amazing place to be preaching about impact investing and how Israel can really be a leader in that. And thanks again also because repeatedly throughout the day I've heard that this is a conference of young leaders. So that's so thank you for inviting me and including me in the young leaders panels. I'm flattered, and actually it's funny because it's a little bit the story of my life. I work with young people mostly. I work with entrepreneurs. I wasn't and am an entrepreneur myself, but all my life I work with entrepreneurs, and it's always young people around me. And I always tell them, you're looking at me, but I'm looking at you. So I think I'm like you, and there's no evidence is going to change that. So thanks again. So I'll introduce Impact First Investments just briefly. Let's see if that works. Yep. So what is impact investing? Just really quickly. Impact investing means that you want to do good and do well. You actually want to use market mechanisms in order to do something good for society, looking at societal problems that cannot be resolved with governments and philanthropy, but need actually a new way of thinking, a new paradigm of looking at solutions from a business standpoint. So here we're seeing purpose and profit, and usually we tend to think of these two as very dichotomic ways of thinking. So either you make profit or you have a purpose. But actually what impact investing is blending those two. And when I'm looking at it from my perspective on the technology world, then I'm looking at social tech, and I'm looking at scaling solutions, because the world, unfortunately, has really big problems that have to be addressed with tools that can be scaled. And technology is just one of these tools. And just instead of talking about theory and what is impact investing, why is social tech, what are we talking about when we say technology for social impact, and why does technology even need to look at social impact, I want to introduce to you one of our portfolio companies called Angel Sense. Angel Sense was created by two parents of autistic children to solve issues that have to do with children with special needs, and particularly autistic children, but not only. And the major problems that they're looking at is the idea of a parent sending his child in the morning and getting him back in the evening, and not really knowing where is the child during the day, what is he doing, how is he being bullied or maybe neglected or abused, is he maybe lost, and not being able to find him when he's lost. And when I say children, I don't mean small children, because autistic children and children with special needs are children for many, many, many years. So these entrepreneurs decided to use their skill set coming from the business world, from the technology world, to create a solution. And their solution they created is a tracking device that allows parents of special needs, children, to really track their children, know what's going on with them, and be alerted if there's any problem that's happening to them. And why is that an impact company? Well, to tell you why, I'll give you a short video of the clients and actually the people that are using the product.
There were a number of cases in New York City, probably the most recognized one being with Avante Aquendo and a lot of other nonverbal children with autism going missing. And it really made me more concerned because Jaden does tend to dart off. And I found Angel Sense in my search, and it's really been a blessing for us.
We've gone through everything. He's had bracelets with his name on them, he's had tags in his clothes, he's had temporary tattoos, but these are all shots in the dark.
We've had incidents where my son has run away from us, and they were very traumatic for the whole family. Angel Sense has given us that peace of mind where we can go out and enjoy as a family our outings, knowing that if something bad would happen, we can locate him immediately.
It tells me where the bus is going. I can click it at any time and have a map of exactly where he is on the highway.
It sends me a text, so I can actually do things now during the day instead of wondering, what's going on. And it allows me to call to know what's going on, that he's not being bullied or anything like that.
Right now he's in transit. I would just click on the runner mode, and it shows me exactly where he is right now.
We're able to track his location, and that's the most important thing because he can't tell us.
They only hire special needs parents to be the customer service representatives because we understand.
Not only has it given me peace of mind, it's given my other 2 children peace of mind. Angel Sense is practically like a guardian angel for him.
Angel Sense is my eyes and ears when Christian is not with me.
Oh, and by the way, the company is an amazing company. It has an amazing business model, and it's making a lot of money. So there's no contradiction between making money and making impact. Technology is applicable anywhere. It's scalable, but it can also address a variety of social issues that we are all familiar with. And I think that anything you can think of, be it in the special needs, but also in water, in agriculture, in delivery of healthcare, education, fintech, access to services in developing countries, anything you can think of can be addressed with technology, and it's not so far. It's not because in a perfect world, VCs would be doing that, but they're not. This is why the impact funds exist. And one last word, just to complement what Guy Wolnick was saying before, everybody talks about the startup nation. And for good reason. We've had huge success with the Startup Nation. But I think that we're really missing something. And if we turn or take the abilities of the Startup Nation and retain that to do something good for society, then we will be changing the world with Israeli technology, and we will be making what our Tikkun Olam is, and what my Zionism is, and what my passion is, to really make the world a better place with Israeli technology.
Next, I want to introduce Narkis Alon. Narkis has done a number of different things. She sort of has 3 jobs at once, but the one that she is, and she's been involved in Jewish innovation for a very, very long time, both in the US and in Israel. But she is now mostly working on her startup, which is, I guess it's a startup, her new company, which is called W. It's called W because, get it, W. So it's all about women, and, right, okay, yes, fine. And W has this amazing, amazing idea, which I just wish that we had it all over the world right now, because it is letting women entrepreneurs have some time to learn that it's actually alone time. She actually does retreats, where women can really get their thoughts together, be supported by other women, both older, younger, whatever, be supported by them as they're putting together a business, and also really have some sort of creative rest time. I think most of you know that I think most, if not all, entrepreneurs know that it's only when you've got some sort of rest time space where your creative juices kind of happen. So she's done that with women, and one of her big reasons, which she'll tell us about, is that as they're trying, helping them to create a business, and then gives them lots of resources, but does it through these retreats that also teach women that you don't have to. I don't know if any of you remember back in the, gosh, I think it was a long time ago, 70s, 80s, when women started working more, and women would dress like men. Does everyone remember that? And they'd wear like little ties and jackets, and you would, who remembers that? Raise your hand if you remember that. Okay, yeah, most of the women here remember that. It's kind of embarrassing now, but yes, we all did it. But you would just be told you're supposed to try and be like a man. Or I remember my father saying at one point that when female lawyers started to be a big thing and there were more female lawyers, and he said they were being extra difficult in the courtroom because they had to be tougher than the men, and they couldn't be just like the men. So a lot of these issues, as most of the women here will agree, still exist. We don't have to wear the little bow ties anymore, but this is actually an organization that is telling you it's okay to be a woman, to be in touch with your femininity, at the same time as building and growing a business, which is super tough and super important. So with that, I will introduce Narkis.
So growing up in Israel, I went through pretty bizarre situations. When I was a teenager, I was in the Scouts. We were investing months and working on our themed summer camp, which included these 7 meters monuments. And after that, I went to the army. I was in the intelligence unit, and I took part in things that you could really see only in the movies. So naturally, when I was 21 years old and I became a young adult, and I worked in a startup and a job was considered a good job, I was actually pretty bored. I felt purposeless, and I felt lonely, and I didn't understand. I'm like, is this what adult life looks like? Maybe something's wrong with me. And luckily, there was another Israeli tradition that saved my life. and it's a trip after the army. So I don't know how much of you are aware of that, but after we finish the army, we work for a year, we save money, and then we go and travel over the world. And I went to travel in Central America. I basically invested all the money I made in this good job in a year-long trip. And I did a lot of meditation and silence retreats and some adventures with peers. And, but all this year, it was very, very serious. I was investing in the question of how will I make a living from something that has purpose. Like I don't have the army anymore, I don't have the scouts, and I want to continue and do crazy things with people I love. And so I thought a lot about it, and in the end of the year, I came up with a few ideas, and I felt very confident and empowered, but more than everything, I felt actually the process I just went through is what I want to give to people in my generation. How can I inspire people to follow their passion, but also help them make a living out of that? Because this is now the problem we were facing as we became adults. So most of my friends back then were waiting tables or studying, and they're all, although they didn't have mortgage or kids yet, they're also all already starting to play the game of being too busy for what really matters to them. And I thought, what would really make them pause their life, not for a year like I did, but even just for a few hours a week, and really deal with this question and build a career that they're passionate about and create something meaningful that benefits the world. And the answer that came to mind was a very simple answer, almost obvious, like all the simple truths, that they will do it if their friends will do it. Like, this is what made me go to the Scouts and do the crazy stuff. This is what made me go to the army. And honestly, this is what keeps me in Israel. Like, it makes no sense to live in Israel these days. It is an emotionally value-based decision that is constantly reinforced because my friends and family are there. So basically, having this mission in my heart of like allowing people to make a living from what they're passionate about and using the power of community for empowering the individual is what I came to Israel with back from this trip, and it's been my work for the last 7 years. And I'm going to share with you really briefly about the two organizations I built in these 7 years, just a few sentences on each. So the first one is Zezeh. This is it's called in Hebrew. Basically, what we do in Zezeh, we create social projects that are led by young people pursuant to their field of passion, and all the projects are financially sustainable and create opportunities for communities in need. So I'll give you an example. For example, we created an orchestra from street musicians. So in Israel, street musicians, the majority is a community of need because it's musicians that came from USSR countries and couldn't integrate in the music industry in Israel. So our community created a band out of them. We already had more than hundreds of performances across the country. And then students that are passionate about music and production were basically executing and doing this project. So they did something meaningful, they gain experience in something they're passionate about, and then it's hard to go back. We also started a printing factory that employs former women prisoners. And I think like we serve every year hundreds of people directly, but hundreds of thousands of people are exposed to our projects. And I think the most important thing is that we're not emphasizing the founder. You know how there's like the founder, that's the hero. So everything is created by a group of people that are doing it for empowering themselves and others. And another project, another company that Lisa mentioned is W, which basically in W, we created a process for women entrepreneurs to pause from their crazy daily life as founders and to really think and connect and empower each other, building their companies. So our process is designed to have zero distractions, have no cell phones for 3 days, no networking, you're not allowed to talk about the past, and the best is no men. So basically, with these three things, the methodology is built in a way that these entrepreneurs could think and collaborate with each other. We already had hundreds of women from 14 different countries experiencing this process. We just came back actually from Costa Rica. So it was our first Latin American retreat, which was great. And after every community is formed, after every retreat, the community of entrepreneurs is adopting a community of girls in need and creating the same process for them. So the last thing I'm going to share with you is a short video that shows what we did with refugee girls in Israel. And I'll just say the last sentence that I really think if we tap into this simple idea of, like Israel was always a tribal nation, if we tap into this simple idea of using the power of a group for empowering individuals from all socioeconomical backgrounds, I think it's actually our only hope.
This project is called the W Closet. We're trying to give these girls a taste of what we had at the W retreat.
We're here in order to help these 40 girls to dream fearlessly and to give the first step concretely towards their dreams. Everyone has a dream at the end of the day, but not everyone gets the tools in order to get there.
החלום שלי הוא להיות פסיכולוגית התפתחותית. החלום שלי זה להיות דוגמנית.
אני רוצה להיות רקדנית.
עכשיו יש כל מיני דברים פרקטיים שדניאלה יכולה לעשות כדי להיות בעתיד בעלת עסק.
כל אחת בוחרת בשביל עצמה דבר אחד שהיא מתחייבת מול החברה שלה לעשות.
This is, I think, a gift to remember what's important, which is taking care of each other, and it is about helping other women believe in their leadership potential, and really about putting women in the front.
אני מפחדת ממה שאחרים יגידו ושישפטו אותי.
מה אני אגיד לך משהו? בחיים האלה לא משנה מה תעשי, אנשים ידברו. את צריכה לדעת פשוט לא להקשיב לה, תעשי הכל פה בלכם, שיכול להיות שזה לא מזיז לך, ותצליחי, בוא לפרצות שלך.
Young women in the world are rising up to their potential, and W is one of the initiatives that is spreading this agenda.
To make this happen in other communities, we need women that are willing to share their gifts and talents, a community that is in need.
You need content to help them realize what they want, and then you need clothes.
Beautiful clothes that were donated by women from our community with an intention in it. They're actually stepping into this closet full of clothes, and then they're putting together an outfit that will serve their future selves.
It feels like I'm already there and I have the power to be there.
They're so strong because they need to be like that, and they're so, committed to make something of themselves. And at some point, I started to understand that maybe we need them more than the other way around.
It's like having really good girlfriends. Like women, when they're being good friends with one another, there's nothing like it.
Next, I want to introduce Sinan AbuShanab. Sinan is program manager for Our Generation Speaks, otherwise known as OG Speaks, which I've learned a lot about in this last week. A lot of people kept saying to me, you have to know about this new organization of young people. And they have a really interesting model, and theirs is to create companies support companies, give people money for startups, sort of have a competition, teach them, train them, do all of these wonderful things. But there's this really interesting byproduct, which is that you get Jews and Arabs speaking and working together. So talking about the left and the right and trying to get them to talk to each other and listen to each other, this actually gets them to do it while they're creating a company. So with that, Sinan.
The reason we chose entrepreneurship is that we realized that when people from both sides work together on a mutual project that is going to serve both communities, there is a better chance that they will learn to trust each other.
The most common feature among the 22 fellows was the fact that they were full of passion to do better for the future. You're talking about people who have aspirations to go places, and not necessarily for the personal aspect of it, but really for the fact that them being in a position of power would enable them to eventually do what they need to do in this world, which is affect their communities in the best way possible.
The three main components of OGS are the academic program, the mentoring program, and the social impact ventures. We focus on each one of those components throughout the entire summer to ensure that not only we'll learn how to build a viable venture, but we also put into practice all the skills we learned in the classroom and build something concrete that can change facts on the ground in the region.
So the past summer has been an amazing experience coming here to Boston, working on a startup from scratch with people I met here, and then having the opportunity to go back to the region and working Israelis and Palestinians on ideas we created here together.
I graduated med school, I finished my internship, and I'm in this transition part of my life where I have to choose how to go forward. You can choose to complain and not to do anything, or you can choose to be active about it. I think my experience here, the partners I met here, made me choose to be active.
OGS gave me the academic knowledge, they gave me the experience, and they gave me
the exposure to the huge, amazing network of connections here in Boston and also in Palestine and in Israel. It really given me, I think, all the tools that I need to build a better future for myself and also for my nation, for my community.
OGS is really unique in the way that it uses entrepreneurship really as some sort of a catalyst to peace. This is the basic premise of what we work here. This is something that really dialogue by itself could not do, because we're really talking about changing facts on the ground. And this is, for once, those facts on the ground would be a positive thing and thing that both people are looking forward to. The reason why I do this, and the reason why I drive to work every day and work alongside an Israeli as a Palestinian, is because simply I believe that my calling in this world and my mission really, and the reason, or my purpose in this world is really to do something to help solve this conflict. This is why I get up out of bed every day, and this is what drives me. This is not easy. There are a couple of significant problems and pain points that really were the main reason behind creating Our Generation Speaks. And one of the main ones is the fact that young generation, on both sides of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, has high level of skepticism on the power or the ability of the political leadership on both sides to deliver a real and a just solution to the conflict. That's one. Two is that there is really a near complete lack of trust between the Israelis and the Palestinians, both on a political level, which is obvious, but really more terrifying than that is also on a societal level. There is this lack of trust. And this is what kind of is the reason behind why we're here. And still, there are reasons to be hopeful, we believe. And that's why we do the work that we do, is because one is that you see this new generation. You see these new young people and their amazing energies. I mean, look at the people who are up on here on the stage, and I see it all around. People who have fresh, new energies that are really eager to kind of put new solutions to very old problems. You see it everywhere. So that's one. That's one reason to be hopeful. The second reason is that, and sorry, to continue the first thing, I grew up listening to people, my aunties, my people around me saying, don't talk, walls have ears. And really, I feel that now there's a move from the walls have ears to young people wanting to scream out loud. And we've seen this. We've seen this in the area, in our area, where regimes that have been there for decades have been toppled because young people were screaming out loud. And so that's one reason I think to be hopeful. The second is that what I saw with the people here up on this screen, I've seen 22 people come, learn about entrepreneurship, and live together, and I also lived with them, and they went back home. Now they're working. Now there are 5 startups working back home. The people that you saw, one is dealing with an issue of unemployment in Ramallah among IT engineers. One is working on opening the Arab markets to Israeli startups. One Bedouin doctor is working on genetic illnesses in the Bedouin community, an issue that kind of haunted this community for decades. So this is another reason to be hopeful. And I guess the last one I could think of is the fact that we're being supported by those highly successful, highly experienced people that kind of also tell us that what we're doing is something of substance and something substantial. There are people who are investing precious things, their time, their resources into OGS, and that makes us, kind of gives us the responsibility that we're doing something good and want to keep doing it. And the last thing I want to tell you before I leave here, even though I love to talk, is there are two things to watch for. There are two things to watch for. One is polarization. And even though, you know, what is happening right now is something beautiful, but I worry that a spike in conflict, and especially in violence back home, will really distort this effort. And the second thing is that this vacuum of hope, a hope vacuum. If I wasn't hopeful that there is a just solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, I will not be here. I would probably, to be completely honest with you guys, I would have probably be holding a gun somewhere in our region. Probably. I mean, that's just statistics. But I am here, and I'm here with all my heart because I know it, that there is a solution to this conflict, and that young people like the ones here can bring it home.
We have one more to kind of close us out with all of her amazingness that she's done. And this is Natalie Mayeri, who is Managing Director of the 8200 Social Program, which is an incubator that, again, is supporting entrepreneurs trying to create social change. So, Natalie.
My name is Natalie, and I'm the Managing Director of the 8200 Social Program. Just for us to be aligned, just gonna say a few words about the 8200 unit, if you heard the name. Once when I served at the 8200 unit for 4 years, I was the head of the Foreign Relations section, and I used to call it the ISNU, the Israeli Sigin National Unit. Today I can just say 8200, and most of the people know what it is, or even Shmone Matayim. 8200 is the Israeli cybersecurity unit. It is under the intelligence force of the Israeli Defense Forces. It is a very well-known unit. There are a lot of very successful alumni from this unit, such as you just mentioned the CEO of you just mentioned Waze. So the founder and CEO of Waze is also a 8200 alumnus, and there are a lot of other alumni that are very prominent, that have very prominent positions now in the venture capitals, in the high-tech companies, and in different places in the industry in Israel and also abroad. So with this thought about 8200 and its power, the 8200 Alumni Association has decided to initiate a program that aims to promote social entrepreneurship. And so I'm running this wonderful accelerator that aims to assist startups to promote bottom-up solutions for significant social problems in technological means. We're very eclectic in the domains that we work at, and we enjoy this eclectiveness. We enjoy the fact that we can decide which social problems are the most sore one and the most urgent ones to solve. We're mainly focused on people with disabilities, the elderly, promoting gender equality, and all of the problems that unfortunately aren't being solved top-down by the government. We're trying to solve it bottom-up. So just for us to understand the landscape of what happened here during the past years. So in 2013, we rose practically into a desert. There was no roof for social tech entrepreneurs, no program that could have helped them along the way. Now in 2017, we have a lot of supporting bodies. We have a lot of different accelerators. We have VCs such as Impact First and a lot of other investors and people that are intrigued by this amazing world of helping the people that are practically in need. I can also show that we've made significant progress due to the fact that we just graduated our third cohort of the program just on March 16th. And while on the second cohort there were 60 applicants, On the third cohort, there were nearly 180, which is 3 times more. And now, heading towards the fourth cohort of the program, we're on the pre-registration phase. Now we will be opening the first cohort registration phase only on July 1st. We already have 165 applicants, which is an enormous number, and it only shows that this world of social entrepreneurship is keep on flourishing and rising, and people understand that you can do good while do well. I'm very fortunate to say that I have a lot, that all of the 30 graduates of the program during the past 3 cohorts have made significant achievements. They've raised more than $16 million, which is relatively a lot in the world of social entrepreneurship. They got a very wide coverage in the media in Israel and abroad. They've won a lot of international competitions, and they've created working places in Israel and abroad too. On a personal note, I think that the main thing that distinguishes social entrepreneurship from regular entrepreneurship is the fact that behind these people, there are huge hearts. Usually social entrepreneurship is not a man standing and deciding, okay, how can I do money? Oh, I'll be a social entrepreneur. It works the other way. Behind these entrepreneurs, there are a lot of people that felt in need either on their family or friends. So social entrepreneurship is literally from home. Among my entrepreneurs, I have a father to 2 autistic children, to 2 children with autism, 2 grandsons of one grandmother that was an ALS patient, and the other one had a stroke. So they are all developing things that they've encountered, problems that they've encountered, and they've decided to do something and to build from scratch a social solution for that. And I think that this is one of the most interesting and fascinating things to walk. And we have the privilege to collaborate with dozens of prominent companies and academic organizations in Israel and abroad in order to help us provide all of the content pro bono for the startups. We're a nonprofit organization. We do not take equity nor IP rights from the participating startups, and we want to keep it this way because we really want this social entrepreneurship field to flourish, but we do get to grow social businesses, sustainable businesses only, because we do believe in the model of creating revenue in order for this world to keep evolving. So I think that this is the brand of 8200 and our ability to harness the human capital of 8200 in order to promote the social entrepreneurship in Israel is a great privilege for me to do. So I'm just going to give you a glimpse about one of our startups, just for you to understand the type of startups that we accelerate during our program. So VoiceIt is a graduate of our first cohort, and they've developed a tool in order to assist people with impaired speech, either due to stroke or other brain injuries, or children with development problems, to do a simultaneous translation for their impaired speech.
I want to be a firefighter when I grow up. My mom says it's too dangerous, but I think it's only dangerous if there is a fire. I was born 12 weeks before my expected birth date. Is 1.9 pounds heavy or light? I want to speak, but the words remain inside me. People just don't understand me. My name is Ray. I'm 5 years old. And tomorrow, I will start speaking freely.
I love you.
I do have some questions, and then we're going to open it up for questions from all of you. So starting off, this is a little bit of a difficult question, but yeah, sorry for that, but I'm going to start with a hard one. So as you said, there weren't really social impact, social entrepreneurship type companies around until the last several years, right? Last 10 years at the most, maybe last 5 years. And there's a lot of money that is going into them now. Not a lot, but still millions of dollars, millions of shekels in Israel. There hasn't been an exit yet, I don't believe, of any of them. So knowing that, two questions. One is, how hard is it to get new investors, knowing that? And B, when do you think that that's going to happen? You know, when is that first exit going to happen? Who wants to take it first?
Oh.
Sorry, apologize in advance.
No, that's fine. Actually, I don't think that people are not investing because they're worried about the exits. I think that they're not investing because, first of all, they don't know that they can. Second, they have a paradigm that they think that if we're doing something social, then they're probably not going to make any money. And third, if they have the inclination to do that, to do both, they might choose something local. And investing in Israel is far. And that's another layer of complication that we struggle with. So I think that if we do a meticulous investment work that is very professional, and we don't fall behind in terms of how we are disciplined with the investments that we make, with the deal structures that we have, with the type and quantity of capital that is injected into the companies, and that we make sure that we curate the deals in the best possible way, we will be a very, very successful venture capital fund. And how long does that take? Well, like any venture fund in the market, there is not impact. We think that usually it's a 5-year period of investment, and then within the next 5 years of the fund, companies start exiting. To mitigate even further the risk, in the fund we only invest in companies that already have some market traction. So we're mitigating the technology risk, and we have a product market fit. So all in all, I think that this is going to be an amazingly successful fund. Also, because the companies that we are funding are producing products for people that really, really need them. So they have the support of and the loyalty of their employees, because they're very mission-driven, of the customers because they really solve their problems, and of additional stakeholders around the customers that have a vested interest to make these things work. So all in all, I really do believe this is going to be a hugely successful fund in terms of the financial returns. But in order to get the message across, this is one reason why we have to do these things and convince people that it's actually a good investment. And it's also going to make you feel really good about what you did with your money.
So I have to say that, first of all, I don't really believe in dividing it to like social, non-social. Like, I understand that's the name of this forum, but the original intention of starting a business is to solve a real problem someone is facing. And like for me, in our first organization, we took a big loan from an investor and we gave it back with interest. In my second company, in the last one, we tripled the investment of our investors. Like, the way I look at it as an entrepreneur and not as an investor, like, starting a company is very, very hard. And it's very hard sustaining it and managing it. So and life is short. So you just better choose a cause you're willing to die for. Otherwise, it just gets really boring. So that's just the way I think it's right. Like, I think as human beings, also for investors, I think we're giving ourselves much more credit of being rational than we actually are. And a lot of investors also, like, I don't find raising money so hard. Like, I think it's about connecting with people, and they want to do it with people they believe in and trust, and in causes they believe. And then they're not tagging you necessarily, especially, I'm talking as an entrepreneur. I never managed a VC that I had to raise money for, and then you need to sell, like, the idea of impact investment. But then it's like they're connecting to your vibe, they're connecting to the mission, you have a track record. So I think the separation between that and normal businesses is something that is mainly harming the business world, actually.
So I will just emphasize a smart point that Cecile has raised. The fact that there are a lot of the social entrepreneurs are affiliated to the social world, and it makes a lot of VCs and angel investors to think that if it's social, so it doesn't have business behind it. And it's a complete lie, because the people in need will keep being in need. Just to give you an example, in addition to the movie that you just saw, for people with impaired speech, there is one more interesting startups that I have on the 8200 social program, a platform for stutterers. And the thing with stuttering is that if you don't continue maintaining the treatment, you won't be able to stop stuttering. It will never stop. So this is an ongoing platform that it's a license forever. So there is a lot of business behind it, but the problem is that people are so prejudiced against thinking that if it's social, it can't be profitable or even or at least sustainable. So I think that this is a perception that should be changed. And this, when people will stop thinking about social entrepreneurs as things that are being as nonprofit, or things that can be charity, or things that should be handled by the government, because practically, as we can see, the government lacks the ability to solve a lot of social problems. So I think that in the moment that this will happen, that there won't be any separation between these two values, I think that it will cause a much better perspective, and people will see social businesses. So I really hope it's going to happen sometime soon, and then we'll be able to raise more funds, and we will be able to see the impact, because the real impact is not a startup being invested, it's how it is being implemented in the real world to the end users, to the people in need.
So Sinan, are people going to get that message in the near future?
To me, I mean, this is fairly a new area. I was well on my way to get a PhD and become a nice professor in a nice classroom, separate from everything. But then I met Ohad, and now I'm here. But to me, the way I look at it, we have a group of really dedicated investors whose hearts are in the game also. So that kind of really what I feel their biggest investment is their time. They come to us, they sit with our startups, and they give them kind of insights from their own experiences, which have been hugely successful, and they come and they give these pointers on what is the best next step, and that is to us more valuable than also the great monetary help that they give us, and that without that we would not have been here. The other thing is that we're looking into ways of being sustainable. So also to look at that business side of things, where right now we don't take any equity in the startups that leave our incubator, but we're still at a stage where we're thinking how to do it best, whether to kind of neutralize any potential prejudice in us making decisions to incubate, say, a for-profit and giving it more kind of priority than a non-profit. We don't want to get into that, so we're just taking a step back right now, trying to figure out what is the best way to do it. So we're probably going to have to talk to more experienced people that have helped us before to help us take this step forward.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I spoke with, is it Oded, the other day about exactly that issue, and I thought, well, isn't that giving a message that if you're not taking a piece of it, then it's not really a business. You should be out getting money from people's donor funds instead of real business. But at the same time, you're right. You don't want to have to feel like you're supporting some businesses over others for financial reasons, when really you're just trying to solve social. You have a lot of other reasons for being what you're being, right? And you don't want anything to get in the way of it. So it's a little bit of a dilemma. I do have a question about related to that, where money's coming from that's going into either your companies or your funds or your organizations. Are people funding them from investment dollars? Are they funding from charitable dollars, or both? Go first. Both? Both?
No, not both. Investors. We're looking for investors. We're actually making a business proposition. And I think people should be happy to invest in a fund that will also make them feel good about what they're doing, and be passionate about the cause and the purpose, and not only about the capital. But definitely investors. And recently the Ford Foundation announced that they're going to be investing $1 billion in the next decade out of their endowment into impact investing. And that has pushed foundations and trusts into looking at mission-related investments. So looking at investments made out of their endowment into impact funds. So that is an additional, well, or a new way for us to approach capital. We don't think that people should look at this as charity or as a gift. This should be really a business transaction, but one that makes sense to the heart as well.
Just one question on that. If you're accepting money, if they're giving money from an endowment, they, especially in the United States, they've got a requirement to produce a certain amount of interest on that, a certain amount of return, which are your companies giving, annual interest in return, or how did they get away with that?
No, because we're investing in startups, and this is a venture capital structure. This is not about loans that it's not a working capital. So the structure is very similar to VCs. We expect market rate returns. We're going to make actually great returns, and when they come, this is when the returns are going to be returned into the endowment. It's very similar to any diversification of asset classes with any investment manager. This is just one other tool for them to allocate capital.
But that's probably one of the first times that an endowment is doing this. So it's all on you to make it work for everybody else.
Yes, and it's also the first time that it's being done in Israel. We're the only fund that actually does that. So that's another layer of complication, because people say, okay, you individually have track records, but you've never had a fund that does this before, so you can't show us the exits, so will come the next fund. So we need the first courageous few who will be able to support this to the next fund.
Okay, Sinan?
Mainly, we're under Brandeis University, which has a non-profit status, a 501c3. So most of the all of the money that we get is charities, is donations. Yeah, and actually we're also, as of yet, we're thinking of ways on how to create some sort of investment funds or investment pools where some of our donors would get into a more kind of proactive investment kind of connection with OGS, but that's still a work in progress and just some initial thinking again.
So I just want to get it straight. So the $60,000, I think it is, that you give each of them at the end of the summer, that's charitable money, but they do need to continue their project, they do need to raise more money. The next round of money is going to be investment money, right?
If they get it from us, we're still answering that question. But generally what we prepare them to do is that now we're going to help them in every way possible, but the startups are expected to also think of how they're going to survive long term. Also with our help, of course, but we don't want them to be too dependent on knowing that they have someone to bail them out when they need to.
Okay. Yes.
If I could just
please.
Yes. So in our case, it's both, because we're a nonprofit, but we do want to encourage for-profit companies. So on the third cohort, when I started working as the managing director after volunteering for the program, I've decided that I want to promote only businesses and not nonprofits, because I believe that it should be they should be sustainable businesses and not nonprofits, because I know the problems that nonprofit organizations have. So there are part of our previous cohorts that are nonprofit. So for them, of course, the donation is relevant. For the program, of course, the donation is relevant too, because we're a nonprofit program. But for the startups from the third cohort and the previous startups, of course, it's not a donation; it's an investment, because we believe that it has to become legit to be a social business. We really want to see it growing more.
I just want to say really quickly that for me, like, money is money. So if someone wants to give me money with no return, I'm okay with that. Anyway, money is commitment. Like, even if I get a grant of 100K, I'm still expected to deliver ABC results. And anyway, I'm interested in growing my business. So I don't think that entrepreneurs in the impact space have to limit themselves to one way or another. I just think money is great, you know, and as long as you're making your impact and you're continuing to grow, like, and the investors / donors have the same vision of you, it doesn't really matter.
But you do have the question, either you're a nonprofit organization or you're a company, it's
no,
different.
I'm a for-profit, but we already had grants and we had investors, so.
A little of both, okay. So I just want to give everybody an opportunity to ask a few questions because we need to end fairly soon, and then I'll give you an idea of how to contact these wonderful people because you all want to, I'm sure, support their organizations, and we'll let you know how. Isabel.
Hi, thank you so much. This is a great panel. My question actually has to do with capital, and it's to all of you. Jacqueline Novogratz of Acumen has an absolutely wonderful term she coined. It's called patient capital. And patient capital is the concept of literally, yes, you are investing, but you're not expecting a return tomorrow. And that she's done a wonderful job with that. And having done so much work with many Israeli for-profits and non-profits in Israel and here, Israelis have definitely a reputation for the opposite of being patient. They're impatient in the extreme. But also there's so much need, and people are very, very needy, and so they just don't even know how to wait. It's so difficult. So I'm really interested in how you deal with this concept of impatient capital.
That's good. That's good.
Thank you.
Being patient with impatient people. Okay.
So
yes, brief answers so that we can do some more questions. Cecile.
Yeah, I'll really fast. Patient capital is within the spectrum of the type of capital that you can allocate. So when you're looking at businesses that need a much longer period of time to grow, then this is when these types of investors need to step in. And by the way, these type of investors are funded by grants. So their funders themselves don't expect to get anything back, or they expect it to be coming in much, much later. So but when we're talking about, in my case, about startups, we don't want to be patient at all. We want them to conquer the world, conquer their markets, be extremely successful, and be very profitable. But there are, within the impact space, other funds that are not dealing with technology that really do need patient capital, and that's a different setup to be made, yeah, definitely.
Really quickly, I'm really into patient capital. I never knew the term, but if I don't need patient capital, I just go to the bank. And then that's like the best example of impatient capital.
So I think it's a great thing to be patient. Less relevant to Israel, of course, that you're expected to have your ROI within a very short time. I think that this is one of the main obstacles. I think that in contrast to what Cecile said, I know that some of the social impact ventures should, it takes more time for them to be investment ready, and sometimes to get their ROI and also if you take into consideration the SROI, the social return on investment, these are like other criterias. By the way, they are also being accumulated by money, but it's much more different. And making a social change, it's much harder to show comparing to a cybersecurity company that shows that they've dealt with a hacking. So I think that being patient in this field, I disagree with Cecile on that matter. I think that it's very important because in order to see a social change, I don't know, I'm a former lawyer. I studied at Tel Aviv University, and I know that a lot of social changes take time. It's not easy to do that bottom up. It takes time to persuade, and it takes time for people to understand the significance behind this change. So I think that in parallel to that, being a social entrepreneur means that you have to be more patient than a regular entrepreneur.
Okay, Sinan, we had about 2 seconds.
Yeah. It's our second year. We're about to welcome our second cohort next month. What happened after our first year is that we managed to secure funding for 3-year horizon, which we're really excited about, but definitely our investors are definitely interested in seeing how OGS can be self-sustaining. And this is definitely something on our mind, but we're lucky to have definitely patient funders, which is great.
Okay, another quick question. Anybody? Yes. Come on up to the microphone. You can tell us who you are. That'd be awesome.
Hi, my name's Nathaniel. My question is, Do you co-invest with the Pitangos of the world, the non-so-called social impact funds? And along with that, can you give examples of companies that you've invested in or supported which have had widespread interest from social impact funds but no interest from regular venture investors?
I'm guessing the question is for me.
But whether you support or invest, if so the question is for anybody.
We've just started making investments. Pitango, which is, if you don't know, Israel's largest venture capital fund, which is was founded also by, among others, by Chemi Peres, the son of our late President Shimon Peres. They are our partners, and we are located in their office. And Chemi Peres is actually the chairman of our advisory board, and we have all the governance of the Pitango fund. We're not part of the actual VC. We're part of their partners, meaning what they call Pitango Community Ventures. But we're a Trojan horse. So the idea is really to get the VCs to like what we do and to fall in love with this kind of investment, to see that these are actually good investments, and later on, just adopt it. And as I said in the beginning, then we'll be in a perfect world where impact funds are not necessary anymore and just regular VCs will invest in these companies. But so far, all the companies we've seen and all the companies we've invested in have not had any success with VCs. They've had some success with angel investors. Many of them are looking for some institutional investor like us to lead rounds and to curate the deal. But it's really not a VC game yet. In the US, it's more developed. The market has been here for over 10 years. It's a market of $100 billion. In Israel, it's just in its nascent stages. So we're really getting started, and hopefully the VCs will adopt us, and like Pitango has adopted us, other VCs will see that there is premise in investing in social good, and also very good profit and similar IRR to what they would do without purpose, and they will follow suit.
So I'm going to have to end it at that, but we will be having, I believe, cocktails pretty soon, and all of these wonderful, amazing people will be there, and they also, I hope, all have cards, and I highly recommend that you get on their mailing list so you can find out about all the different companies that they're working with. Thank you.
Actually, panel, stay where you are. Just stay with there one moment, Lisa. I just wanted to let everybody know we're going to have a wonderful cocktail hour where you can talk to everybody, talk to us, make a new friend, say hello. And I just wanted to bring back for some closing remarks Professor Yoram Cohen, who is the director of the Nazarian Institute, and he'll just give it a little bookend. Thank you guys all for coming, and yeah, please do stay in touch with the center for their great programming throughout the year. Yeah, we'll take a picture after.
Oh, great.
Well, weren't they terrific? Just amazing, you know, with such wonderful, energetic young people in Israel, and I can say it today. I wouldn't have been able to say it some years ago. You know, we have great hope, and I hope that all of you enjoyed this wonderful day, multiple sessions that we had to learn about aspects of Israel that we don't normally, you know, see, certainly not in the news of today, that there are a lot of things that are happening around the world, and especially here in Israel, where people are trying to do good, also to do very well. And this is just an example of where this country that we all, you know, cherish and love is going and has a great future. So I want to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank all of our speakers, the moderators, for giving us of their time and for contributing to a wonderful day. Thank you all.